These Timney triggers, they're so overhyped. And they absolutely live up to the hype. Welcome back to Smok'n Jay's Garage. Today we're going to install this new trigger from Timney in our model 1854. This is the 44 Magnum, the Smith&Wesson. Now the number one thing that I do not like about this trigger is how floppy it is. I don't know for sure how well you can see that, so let me get a little closer here to make sure that you can in fact see this. Look at how floppy this trigger is. Even when we have it cocked, look at how floppy that trigger is, and I don't like that. I think that this Timney trigger not only is going to be smoother, have a nice crisper pull, but it's going to get rid of a lot of that slop. At least that's what I'm hoping. We're going to show you how to install it, and we're going to take it to the range and see if it actually works as good as I'm hoping it does. Now, anything you buy, anytime you buy anything from Timney, you'll notice that they always give you a sucker with it. Today, we got a red one. That's way better than the brown one we got last time, right? So here's the trigger itself. Should be a pretty easy install. It is a complete just drop-in replacement. So let me get out some tools here and let's get to installing this. Now Timney does include instructions with this, but what you are going to need is a Torx bit. I believe it's a T20. Obviously we have the hammer and spring assembly and the actual trigger from Timney right here. We're going to need a punch. We got a hammer for that, and we are going to want a bench block as well so we can pop out that pin. First thing that we are going to do, obviously, is make sure that we have no ammunition in our firearm. And then we are going to go ahead with this Torx, and we're going to pull off the buttstock. All right, once we have our buttstock removed, we are going to go ahead and move this, take the tension off of this spring. We want to make sure that our hammer is all the way forward, and we should be able to push this in and slide it out. Very carefully. I don't know, so see exactly what I did there. Well, there it all goes. This clip fits right in that groove, and then up against the top of that, and that spring obviously is in there. There's not a real lot of tension on that, but there is some, so be careful pulling that out. Then we're going to remove this side screw and this bottom screw right here. I missed a screw here. The side screw on the left side of the receiver has to come out as well. Open up your lever just a little bit, and then you can pop that screw out. The bottom screw and the side screw look very similar, but the side screw is a little bit shorter. And then from there, our whole assembly here can just lift right off. There's where we're going to get our trigger out, and our hammer will just lift right out of there as well. We do not need to reuse our hammer, and we do not need to reuse our hammer spring because Timney includes both of those with it. So we'll grab our new one here. We're going to go ahead and set this off to the side a little bit because we're going to use our hammer and our punch, and we're going to go ahead and punch out our trigger. As you look at our assembly here, this pin right here is the pin that we are going to push out. That actually pushed out pretty nice. We actually didn't have to hammer that out. We were able to just push it out with our punch, so we really didn't need a bench block, I don't think. The pin below it we are not removing, but that pin is also fairly loose, so be careful that you don't lose it. Now this was pretty easy. We just set this in place. We did not, obviously we took out the trigger, and there's like a sear, I believe this is the sear for it, which is built into the new Timney trigger. So we are not reusing this, we just set this in. There is a spring already in place, and you can see that we have spring tension on that. And then that pin just slipped back into place. We are going to go ahead and we are going to reinsert this now. Move some of this stuff back out of our way. So we just set our hammer in place here. We're going to leave our bowl, our lever partially open, and go ahead and set this back into place. Now, in order to get the bolt and the assembly all here to fit in just the way it's supposed to, I actually had to pull the trigger a little bit to get it to line up. We are going to go ahead and put in our side screw. We're going to replace that first. Remember that the shorter of the two short screws is the one that goes into the side. I actually had to have the lever open just a little bit more, and that helped me get this screw here started. I'm going to go ahead and put this in a little bit, but I am not going to tighten it up yet. In fact, I'm not even going to snug it up yet. I'm just going to make sure I got a couple of good threads on it. And then I am going to go ahead and put the bottom screw in. And I'm not going to tighten that one up all the way yet either. Now, if by chance you didn't line up your lever with your bolt at the time of putting your bottom everything in there, you can go ahead and just pull your lever off. We'll actually want to close that a little bit. We can pull our lever off, and we can just reinsert that and make sure that we have that in the right spot. There were a lot of things to line up at the same time, and I totally missed that one. So we just went ahead and pulled the lever off, and we'll go ahead and put that right back on. And now we can put in our last screw in the side. We're going to have to wiggle our hammer just a little bit to make sure that that lines up with the hole. All right, now we're going to go ahead and we should be able to snug all of these other screws back up. Remember, we still have that bottom one that is not completely tight. And our side one, again, this is on the left side of the receiver. We're going to go ahead and we'll snug that one up as well. Now you're going to want to watch, I don't know if you can see this, hopefully you can see this in here. This is where your spring goes, right? This whole, the spring bar holds. This is going to be able to move side to side, and as that hammer comes back, we want to make sure that it is in the slot there if we are going to cock this a little bit to make sure that everything works. We're going to go ahead and we're going to put that spring back on now. We are going to want to make sure that our hammer is all the way forward. I just cocked it to make sure that it works, so now my hammer is back. You're going to have to pull the trigger and physically move the hammer forward because it's not under spring pressure. So we'll go ahead and we will slide that spring on there, and then remember that this is going to fit on, so as the gun is upside down right now, right? This is going to be down the curve, and it's going to be forward, again, because the gun is upside down, and then this bottom part is going to fit into this groove right over here. I struggled a little bit getting this spring pin back in. What I found to be the easiest is just to get it lined up on the back side right here, and I used a punch and just physically pushed it into that, that groove right there. That seemed to be the easiest thing once I tried several other things that weren't quite as easy. So, we're going to go ahead and cycle it, make sure that everything works, which it is right now. We're going to go ahead and put our buttstock back on. Now, if you are like me and you have a sling that you did not take off, make sure that's not all twisted up as you're putting that on there. We'll slide that in, and then we're going to give it another function test after everything is all tightened up over here. All right, we have that snugged up now. We're going to go ahead and we're going to make sure that everything cycles the way it should. I can tell already that the trigger pull is a lot lighter than what it was. I shouldn't say a lot lighter, but definitely noticeably lighter. And if you take a look at this, you can see that we do not have that trigger play on its own. This has a little bit of spring tension on it, which you can physically push it forward, but it doesn't flop forward like it did before. And I didn't like that it did that flop forward. Now you can physically move it a little bit, not nearly as much, but there's a little bit of spring tension on it. It doesn't just flop back and forth. And that is the same whether it is cocked or not. Same as before. It does everything the way it did it before, just better. So far, I can feel the improvement, but we're going to have to get to the range and actually see how it shoots, see how it really feels once we're actually pulling that trigger and not riding the hammer home, see if we can get better groups than we had before, or if we just enjoy shooting it more. So there's the installation, and now let's get to the range. All right, we got to the range here. Let's try out this Timney trigger now in this Smith&Wesson. That is very smooth. I really like that. That shoots very, very nice. I am super, super happy with that. Very, very smooth, very crisp and clean break. Very, very nice. I'm going to throw one more shot in there because I dropped one there a little bit low. See if I can put one more in there. Now we're at the indoor range, so we're not very far away, but that is, I lost track of how many shots that is. They were just going into the darkness, the black hole that's already there. But that trigger is super smooth and very easy to be accurate with. So we definitely like this trigger from Timney. If you've got the Smith&Wesson 1854, you're definitely, if you aren't happy with the stock trigger, definitely check out this Timney trigger. I think you're really going to like it. We showed you the range footage. It shot very, very nice. So check it out if you think you're interested. If you're watching this channel for the first time and you haven't already,
and you want to, boom. Please subscribe. And while you're at it, you might as well just like the video.